It is Friday, last day of the weekend. Man, the week has gone by so fast. We hope it continues for the rest of this month as it tends to never end. But also, when you're having fun, the time doesn't seem to be enough. Well, that said, crucial to having a good year is maintaining optimal health. Addressing stress levels and hypertension is indeed crucial for maintaining optimal health. Stress management techniques, lifestyle modifications, and regular health checkups can play pivotal roles in preventing hypertension and its associated complications. Regarding the strain development in Wenchi with the sheep giving birth to a deformed lamb, this could be a topic of interest for veterinarians and biologists in the local community. We'll also be talking to doctors on how to prevent stress and hypertension. We have the news review and also we have sports. Stay with us. We'll be right back with the news. In our top story today, the presidency has shut down a session over an impending politically motivated shakeup in the military hierarchy. The claim suggested an intention to use the military to brutalize citizens during the December 7 elections. The publication also alleged a meeting at the presidency on Tuesday, 2nd January 2024, to discuss these purported politically motivated changes in the military. But in reaction, a statement signed by the presidency's communications director said the president did hold a meeting with heads of security agencies at the Jubilee House on Tuesday. However, it added that the meeting is an annual feature on the president's calendar at the beginning of the new year and involves the heads of security agencies offering their best wishes for the coming year. The signed statement explained that at these meetings, the heads of security agencies call on the president to offer him the best wishes for the coming year, with the president also using the opportunity to express his appreciation to them for their continued commitment to safeguarding the peace and stability of the nation. Contrary to allegations on social media, the president said no discussions about changes in the hierarchy, the hierarchy of the armed forces took place in that meeting. Now, motorists and pedestrians who use the airport junction near the National Service Secretariat in the national capital, Accra, appeal to the Roads Ministry and relevant institutions to immediately remove hedges and billboards lined up at the edges of the road, making it difficult for them to see oncoming vehicles, and serves as a recipe for disaster. Hannah Odame visited the area and reports.
Mr. H.A. Donato, who has been working near the National Service Secretariat since the year 2007, says almost every week he sees similar incidents, which mostly causes accidents at this junction. He wants stakeholders involved to immediately address the situation.
You see this side, the signboards, they are closing also the view. So they have to remove some, the hedges there, cut it down. So as soon as they read this zone, they can look, see the road clear and know how to do. That's what I'm saying. So ever since accident upon accident.
A frequent user of this road, Papa, wants the signboard and hedges removed to ensure safety.
Very, very dangerous. See the hedges with the signboards. Too bad. Please, you should try and do something about it.
What would you want to be done?
They should clear those things all. It's human life that we are working with.
Pedestrians and cyclists who say they are equally concerned about the inability to clearly see the road before using it are asking for action to be taken.
There are edges, the name 3 edges are preventing viewers to see the road clearly. Secondly, they've erected signboards or postboards around the junction, which is preventing you can't see very well. The road is not clear for you to see. One, if they can't erect the traffic light, then the immediate thing they should do is they should remove the posts or signboards, and then they should trim the neem tree so that the road will be clear for drivers to see.
Road safety advocate Obaya Kunedu, though acknowledges the danger posed by the hedges and billboard, cautions motorists to be cautious when approaching this junction.
You're not able to see clearly. You know, you're supposed to stop at the junction, indicate and check your left and your right. If you're going to the left side, if you're going to the right, you check on your right. But if you're going to the left, the hedges are blocking your view. So motorists are tempted to go into the middle of the road, which is not safe at all. And as a road safety person, as an instructor, I would urge the authorities that they make sure that these hedges are cut. I'll also add to it that motorists, yes, we know the hedges are there, but let us be patient and be sure that we have seen the road clearly before we can go.
From the airport residential area near the National Service Secretariat, I am Hannah Odame for Joy News.
An illegal miner has invaded the Talal Fatal Forest Reserve, a key biodiversity area of international significance, destroying more than 7 football fields of the protected forest in the western region. Joy News inquiries revealed the Auntie district of the Forestry Commission knew about the mining activity months earlier but failed to act or trigger the necessary protocols to stop the illegality. Erastus Asari Donko has this report.
The Talal Fatal Forest Reserve in the Awin municipality covers part of the watershed of the Talal River. It was gazetted as a forest reserve in 1955. Experts say it meets one or more previously established criteria for identified sites of biodiversity importance, including important bird and biodiversity areas. But this evergreen forest is in for its worst nightmare. An illegal miner has already invaded compartments 74 and 75 of the reserve. Large parts of the forest have already been reduced to pits and gullies. The devastation stretches deep into the reserve. Our investigations established that the Auntie District Forestry Commission knew about this nature crime 3 months back. But it was only on November 29th this year that the Auntie Forestry Commission head, Richard Entry, wrote about it to his officers, describing it as an attempted illegal mining. On December 17th this year, his deputy, ADM Felix, led the rapid response team to arrest the miners, 1 Chinese national and his 5 Ghanaian collaborators. They have all since been released on bail and their equipment released to them as recounted by this eyewitness.
At the time they came, there were 2 excavators here working. They did not take any action, but rather asked the illegal miners to take their equipment from the site and leave.
When we visited the reserve on December 22nd this year, we found evidence the miners have not left. We saw signs of continuous occupation and mining.
What we are seeing here is a brand new, unused gold washing plant. And it tells you or gives you the indication that whoever was mining illegally within this part of the forest reserve has no intentions of leaving the place forever. They intend to come back to further deplete this forest reserve.
Contrary to the usual Forestry Commission's rapid operations on illegal miners, power plants and settlements of the illegal miners were left untouched.
You could see where they do the washing and get the gold finally. That is still intact, not destroyed. So this is the engine room where a lot of the operations, the central point of the operations happens. And you ask yourself, why did the Forestry Commission Rapid Task Force that came in here on the 17th of December decide not to burn or destroy this particular place?
I confronted the two forest guards tasked to deal with the nature crime in the forest.
Last time we buy and you say yes, a rapid phone bubu but so no me say young comra. See it is more build no more.
Say who's more. And I think say immediately we should destroy it.
Yes, it's me kwa me bomb manager man by Friday no answer what na kra me bit my take action.
2 days after our visit, the Ainchi district sent forest guards to go and burn the materials left behind. We learned that an NPP executive in the area was responsible for the mining in the Tano Anya Forest Reserve. When we contacted him, he claimed his mining was in a farm-admitted part of the forest. He would, however, not confirm he had a license or any permit for his mining activities. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Tanonya Forest Reserve, Western Region.
Now, the disqualified Ayawaso West Wogan parliamentary aspirant Samuel Owusu-Amankwa has denied claims he does not regularly pay his dues, the basis for his disqualification. He alleges that some members of the vetting committee attempted to coerce him to step down for his contender and incumbent, Lydia Seiram Alasan, but he refused. He has since petitioned the party for review of the decision. Stanley Niblewo has this report.
Samuel Owusu-Amankwa, one of the two parliamentary hopefuls seeking to represent the Ayawaso West Wogan constituency in the 2024 elections, was disqualified on day one of the party's vetting. He was accused of failing to pay his monthly dues to the party, but Samuel Owusu-Amankwa claimed the accusation was unfounded. In a petition signed by Kwame J., his lawyer, Samuel Owusu-Amankwa alleged that the Greater Accra Regional Chairman, Regional Women's Organizer and Regional Secretary of the NPP, who were part of the vetting committee, earlier approached him and requested he drops out of the race for the incumbent MP, Lydia Seiram Al-Hassan, to go unopposed, but he refused. He believes that is the basis for his disqualification. He is appealing to the party to grant him one relief.
I'm actually looking for a review of the decision to disqualify Kwabena Owusu-Amankwa Samuel. I think the decision was made inappropriately and out of humility, malice, and out of against the rule of natural justice.
He, however, could not substantiate his initial allegation of monetary inducement to step aside.
To be honest, I wouldn't want to go into that because I've had lots of discussions with my godfather, His Excellency J. Kufuor, and lots of big wings in the party. And I would say we are not going to wash our dirty linen in public. The 2024 elections is a very, very crucial one. And Amankwa, who is going to play a key role, wouldn't want to go that radar by mentioning names. But the fact remains, I was disqualified yesterday, and that's what we are appealing on.
The party is yet to make a decision on Samuel Owusu-Amankwa's petition.
And that was Samuel Jesse's report. Now here's Kenneth Jesse's report on the final day of vetting in Accra.
Day 2 of the vetting of MPP's parliamentary candidate hopefuls in the Greater Accra region has concluded, with some of the biggest names in the party being vetted today. MP for Wejagbawe, Tina Mensah, says she petitioned the party to disqualify her opponent because he did not meet certain requirements of the party.
When you insist, it will be like you are scared of the vote. But I just want to prove a point, to tell the people that we have a constitution which says, which stipulates certain things. So that is why I appealed, I petitioned. But they begged. That's where the party is. They don't want a situation that when they disqualify somebody, It will be some sort of acrimony. There will be a sort of Tina is scared of a contest or something. So I just let it go. I said I need an apology from me, and then he apologized.
Communications Minister Ursula Owusu says the numerous MPP MPs who will not be returning to Parliament will be sorely missed.
One person whose input will be sorely missed in the next Parliament is Osei Mensah. I'd have wished that he would have stayed on, because both sides of the House recognize the immense contribution that he's made to the growth of our democracy. But there comes a time in everybody's life when we move on to the next stage in our personal development. So I wish all of my colleagues who won't be returning to the House because they've decided not to, all the best. Damboche will be missed, Atachia will be missed, Joe Gate will be missed, Joyce will be missed. I mean, the list is endless, because they all and all the others have contributed significantly to the strengthening of our side of the House and parliamentary practice.
Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Cortes says his opponents are no match for him.
The MPP believes in democracy. The ideologies that help to shape and form the political party called MPP thrives on democracy. And so everybody is allowed to express his views, his opinion, and also get involved in an election. After all, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, went through contests.
Unlike yesterday, there were no disqualifications whatsoever. My name is Kenneth Jesse for Joy News.
Now bring you a wrap of the vetting process in the Ashanti region.
Of the new Patriotic Party begins as over 120 aspirants pass through the vetting committee. Some of the fierce contests will be happening at Bantama constituency, Asante Achem Kwadaso, and almost all 41 constituencies. For the aspirants who spoke to Joy News, they are optimistic of victory.
The fiercest competition, I believe, was between myself and Honorable Kokofu. That was the fiercest as far as I'm concerned. This one, for me, it's a no match. When you go to the constituency, those who are voting, they see a big difference. Yes. Like a difference between a VIP bus and Pragia. Yes. That is the difference.
Let me say, I am not going to be like I've already won. No, there is nothing like complacency in this game. Once there is a ballot, yes, I am going in full force as I did. And currently, you can see the constituency is united behind me. They would want me to continue with the work that I've started. And I'm sure you can see the delegates behind me. They are going to say what will happen on the 27th. And I know, inshallah, and by his grace, victory is assured. Expect what happened in 2020. A large victory. That is with hard work. Because my people know what I've done. And nothing is shaking our victory. We are winning and we've already won.
Well, the battle is the Lord's. And I can tell you that come 27th, it's going to be another resounding victory for the Kwame Nkrumah and MP.
Are you retaining your seat?
Oh, yes. Very much so.
Very optimistic.
I can assure you that the legacy in Achuamponwa for the past 80 years is unmatched.
You look very optimistic, but then your opponents are also super optimistic. Coming up against Vincent Frimpong Menu, how does it look like?
The first time I contested with him was in 2015. He had 14 votes. He was last. I occupied the penultimate position. I had 78. The second time we contested in 2020, he was last. He had 48 votes. I had 172 votes and I won. And he's coming again for the third time. Wait till January 27. And we see what's going to happen.
We see that the Asante Achem South constituency needs a certain deliverer who would put the MPP in a certain position in the constituency and ensure that the votes of the MPP move up, and so that the constituency does not become a threat or a constituency that the NDC can go after. And for us embarking on this journey, we have asked God because this sign that he has shown us today is clear that he's with us, he's on our side.
I'm going to win hands down.
You are so optimistic of victory.
Very optimistic. The general election, I'm going to win because more than 80 to 90% if I'm giving the ballot at the delegates conference.
Well, it went very well. I saw it to be just formality. Having gone through the process already, had a very successful voting, and during the balloting, I'm number 2 on the ballot, which signify unity, which signify improvement, and the people are craving that I come back and continue with the projects that I was embarking on.
I'm tried and tested. I've proven to the constituents that I can deliver the job opportunities that I've given to the youth. The projects that I've brought to the constituency speaks for itself. And the clarion call of the constituents that I should come and take care of the constituency.
Now the vetting process is over. The big deal is on January 27th. With 41 constituencies with incumbent MPs, who then would become the fresh face we would see in Parliament, and would they even pass through 7 December 2024? For Joy News, my name is Nana Boache Dankwa Yadom, Kumasi.
Now, peace talks aimed at resolving the ongoing conflict between 3 tribes in the Nkwanta South municipality of the Oti region has hit a snag as one of the tribal chiefs failed to show up at a meeting between security agencies and the traditional rulers of the area. Dawn to dusk curfew has been imposed in the municipality due to the insecurity resulting from the intertribal conflict between the Adele, Chala and Achode tribes over the celebration of Yam Festival, which has already claimed 13 lives and the destruction of properties. Now, expressing his disappointment over the absence of the chief, Nana Jambra Anasa Atnemba II called for effective collaboration between the chiefs and security agencies to ensure peace is restored.
Meeting could not come on, and it's a worry to some of us because some of us travel from Accra because of this meeting, simply because we need peace. Our children are not going to school; they are home. They are not going to school, and they are going to compete in the coming exams with other schools who are now in class learning. We see it as a sabotage because his family is not here. So he don't see it as a worry to him. So it's a worry to we, the Adeles. My advice to the general people of Nkwanta, that we need peace. We need peace. We should come together as we are formally, so that there will be peace for Nkwanta to come back to its normal this thing, because it is a sign of worry. Nkwanta is for us, and we must make sure we develop Nkwanta. We cannot go to Accra and say we are from Accra. Whatever be the case, we will come back home. Whatever be the case, we will come back home. So we should make sure there is peace at Nkwanta. Pouring blood, killing people, destroying properties will not help us.
Well, that's all for the news bulletin on the AM show. We'll be right back with the news review. But do you know that 80 Ghanaians have applied to the Guinness World Records to break a certain record? We'll tell you more about that later. And welcome back. I am Amisi Nyamiche Thompson on the AM show, and this segment is for news review. In the studio with me is a well-renowned child's rights advocate, Auntie Joyce. And I'm so happy she's here in the studio with us this morning to discuss some of the news making the waves in the country. Auntie Joyce, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mami.
I'm so delighted to have you here in person, you know, right?
It's my pleasure.
But how's you? Oh, thank you. How's the new year been for you?
It's been good. Usually when we start the year, we start with certain uncertainties. You are now putting things together, forecasting, planning, and hoping that whatever you are planning for, takes shape in earnest. So for now, we are planning and projecting and, putting all the strategies in place to kickstart what we are used to doing.
But you also know that there's this Guinness World Record craze in Ghana currently, right?
It's unbelievable the way all Ghanaians are so much hooked on this program.
Yeah.
And want to hit the world stage with either cooking,
I know.
Cookathon.
This month alone, at least we know that about 80 Ghanaians have applied to undertake a certain, a sport or something within 4 days after a quiz, competition. So you can imagine. But if you're given the opportunity, what will you do?
I would support. I will be an ardent supporter for whoever takes up.
Yeah, child rights activist. What will you do? Will you do some speech in maybe 3 days or, 1 week for us to drive home a concern?
Yeah, if I should do advocacy on any of these things to vie for the Guinness Book of Records, I will continue to do my advocacy. So a lot of talk, a lot of water, and I don't know.
But so we'll call that one write-a-thon.
Write-a-thon, right.
Anyway, so Auntie Joyce, let's delve into the news. We'll start with My Joy Online, as we always do. And in our top story, it says that the president or the presidency has responded to allegations of a deliberate attempt to orchestrate politically motivated changes within the hierarchy of the Ghana Armed Forces. And the claim suggested an intention to use the military to brutalize citizens during the December elections. Now, the publication also alleged that a meeting at the presidency on Tuesday to discuss these purported politically motivated changes. But in a reaction, the presidency has denied these allegations and says they always do these meetings to give the security agencies the opportunity to wish the president well and vice versa. Auntie Joyce, when you read this story or when you heard about it, how did you react to it?
Thank you very much. And I would say good morning to our cherished viewers and wish everybody, including the Joy team, a happy new year. The presidency reposes a certain authority to drive policies and make the necessary changes through the advice of certain technical persons that work with him. So I believe whatever the president is doing is not on his own evolution or strength as the president per se, but there are certain people, advisors behind these decisions. But currently the country is so much polarized that even decisions or policies that will inure to the benefits of the citizenry, we run diverse meanings into it to say that the president is rather using a certain strategy to subdue a certain group of the populace in the bid to probably win an election. I mean, election democracy is there for everybody to partake. And it doesn't go to the benefit of any group of persons if the right structures are put in place. So I don't see where the military comes in here, except in certain critical and serious cases. Otherwise, we have our police who are there to oversee the electioneering processes. Right. And then we have the Electoral Commission who makes sure that the whole electoral system is run in a free and fair manner.
Right.
So if there are changes in the military, well, probably based on the technical advice or certain security concerns, or probably those officers are even due for pension, and so these replacements will have to take place. It's just like the judiciary where we had 3 judges replacing others who had just gone home.
Yes.
So if you ask me, I think the president is doing these changes based on advice from his technical people, or technical people, and the persons are rather due. And whatever the president does, people will read meanings that probably he's trying to bring his own persons to take over the process so that in times of election they can. But from the little I know, the military or the armed forces are not the people who oversee elections in Ghana. So I would say that the president has done what he had to do, but then you have people coming in with diverse thoughts and reading meaning into what the president has done.
Why do you think anyone will purport such a thing, especially at this time of the year, and it's a normal thing the president does? Why will anyone read such meanings into it?
Yeah, you know, currently the whole system is so much polarized in terms of, you know, politics, where people are looking at instances to entrench themselves, even where their performances are unacceptable, even where people sense a certain level of corruption and no action is taken, where people think some people have had enough in terms of the governance of certain government agencies, and that they need to step back for others to come in with new ideas. People have been advocating for changes here and there, but it's like nothing is being done. One person cannot hold an office for 8 good years when people are clamoring that there should be a change. So in these cases, when the confidence level is lost, then whatever it is that is coming from the presidency or the particular party in power, people read meanings and they doubt the specific theme or idea or agenda in terms of what is being done and whether it's right or it's just a way of preparing for the next election where they can have their way. But I do not think so, because the structures for electioneering process are in place, and the military are the last people who would come in. Of course, the last election we saw military men brutalizing.
In fact, what we do is we collaborate with them to give protection in areas that they are needed. We've been collaborating, but ideally they shouldn't be involved in political elections or other elections whatsoever. But let me ask you, if the president should go ahead to even make changes at this time, what do you make of the timing of such changes?
Like I said, I'm not part of the board or the technical men or the advisors. And the national security concerns that are coming up, such that certain structures should be put in place in terms of the army. But clearly, you are agreeing with me that the army or the military will be the last group of persons that would intervene in an electioneering process. And that is very clear. So instances that we've had the military brutalizing citizens for one reason or the other, and there is no action taken, it makes the citizenry think that we've had examples where the military have come in to brutalize persons and no action has been taken. So probably it might be a way the president will want to use to, subvert the citizens' will by changing leadership, and then that leadership buying into his agenda and prosecuting a certain agenda.
At this time, what difference does it make anyway?
You never know. They are always projecting and conjecturing and planning ahead to make things happen their way, politicians per se. So we cannot fault them, because power sweets, and it's very difficult to lose power. So, but notwithstanding what I'm saying, I just want to put it out there that these changes might be purely due to certain national security reasons or certain advice that will inure to the benefit of all Ghanaians and not to a group of persons who are hungry for power.
And to state that the president is at liberty to do whatever, is right for the nation.
That's it.
Well, interesting. This other story on myjoyonline.com, it says panic grips Sefi when Chi residents after a sheep, delivers a lamb with deformities. Now, the residents in this region were gripped with fear after the sheep in the community delivered an offspring with scary deformities. The mysterious incident which occurred on Wednesday had residents witness a lamb with 2 heads, 2 mouths, 4 eyes, and 2 ears. And speaking to the owner of the sheep, she said, that's Adjoa Abrefi, she said she's reared a flock of sheep for over a decade and had never seen this mysterious, incident before. And she's scared of what's happening. In fact, they think it's spiritual. And when you see something of this, so what quickly comes to mind?
Well, for me, issues around malformation and disability is rare in human, much as real in animals. You have people giving birth to children with probably 1 arm, or 2 heads with 1 neck, and so on and so forth. So there are issues around deformities that might have happened during the incubation period of that, if it's a human, yes, or an animal. So for the community to believe that probably is strange, I will link my little knowledge with what I have acquired whilst in school in terms of issues around disability and impairment to a similar situation. That probably this was a situation or a condition where things did not go right when the fetus was being formed.
But the owner says she's been, rearing these sheep for as long as she can remember, over 10 years. And if she did something wrong, I'm sure she'll be able to tell us. But do you not think there may be environmental factors leading to this?
I was just coming to that,
Right.
Issues around galamsey. We've been told that this galamsey menace that we are overlooking and overshadowing for this period will end up affecting us in terms of human beings because the chemical components that is transmitted from plants to animals is going to cause issues similar to what this goat, this lamb gave birth to. And of course, this lamb is feeding on these plants and drinking from probably.
In fact, let me hold your guns there. The municipal veterinary officer, Dr. Emmanuel Kingsley Bansah, will explain that the incident could be the result of 3 factors. The birth, according to him, the sheep gave birth as a result of intake of heavy metals such as mercury and cyanide, also inbreeding and poor medication. So you're right. And this, gives rise to the calls for some of these things to be checked. Don't you think so?
Absolutely. We might think the effect is not now, but here we are manifesting it in animals. And these are the animals that we feed on with time. These animals also feed on the environmental plants and all those things. And drinking this polluted water with heavy metals, mercury and all that. So clearly, if our own animals, domestic animals, are coming up with this, it's scary. And we really, really, really will have to lift up the fight against this environmental degradation, pollution, mercury in almost all plants, heavy metals. Think about it and change our ways in terms of degrading the land that we are feeding on, the land that our forefathers bequeathed us. Now, cocoa production is a problem. All the cocoas that are coming up with heavy metals, they will not cross the border because nobody will buy that cocoa. And issues like this, people give, very soon humans will have 2 necks or maybe one eye.
I pray it doesn't get there.
Well, unless it gets scary for Ghanaians to appreciate that this galamsey thing, the land degradation must stop. My sister, we are getting there and it's scary. The water that we drink are polluted. Some of the pumping stations have been closed down because they just cannot filter the water anymore.
Well, it's already happening though. There have been, reported cases of pregnancies fetuses that didn't, form well. Some had to be aborted and whatnot because of some of these deformities. But we've been, hitting on this for as long as we can remember. Even Erastus Asaridonko, just recently, this morning, we've even reported of some of these activities in the Anria forest, and it's ongoing. What else can we do?
I mean, our leaders will have to bite the bullets and say it in plain words that galamsey must stop. If you travel around the Kede to Adonkrono area going, you hear the sound. You hear the sound and see the water flowing from a certain source, muddy. Right. Yet there is nothing. The assembly is there. Opinion leaders are there. Assemblymen who are to be the watchmen for some of these things are just there. So we will keep on saying it until we are wiped away with all this kind of menace. We will keep on saying it till the right thing is done, because galamsey is becoming a menace over all of us. If you say you don't live there and it's not your problem, I'm afraid the plantain that is coming, the oranges that are coming there, from those places to the cities, whatever, even bread has heavy metals in them.
Bread?
Bread.
Which kind of bread is this?
Ghana bread, we are told.
Auntie Joyce,
whether it's the water they used to...
Oh, wait. No, wait. Bread, as in bread in Accra?
Yeah, Ghana bread.
You've seen bread with metals in them?
Well, no, I've not seen, but the allegation is that, or the statements that we are hearing is that even bread, some of the bread we are eating have heavy metals in them.
This is crazy. And I thought, bread.
Bread. It's coming from one of the sources that we read from.
Anyway, I think we'll still be discussing the impact of galamsey, and definitely we will be delving more into this very, very strange lamb birth in the Seshi area. But moving on, Auntie Joyce, January 8th has been declared another holiday, constitutional holiday, like you already know. The Interior Minister says that Monday will be observed as a public holiday to mark the annual Constitutional Day. And the ministry said the statutory holiday was moved to a weekday because the scheduled day, January 7th, falls on Sunday. Now, I know we've often talked about this. Many public holidays, less, productivity. And the thing falls on Sunday. Why should we move it to Monday? What's your take on that?
I remember those days when I was in the UK and certain public holidays would fall on a certain day, like I think Friday or so. They moved so that the following Monday or something like that is taken as the holiday. We celebrate holidays, but what the holidays is about, we do not make time to have a discussion on it, to discuss it, to impact on citizenry, so that when we say Constitutional Day, what exactly are we talking about? Are we following the tenets of democracy where the Constitution is our bedrock for every activity that we do, or we usurp certain powers and then just go through without looking at what the Constitution is saying or the law is up to? Are we separating powers the way we should, or a certain arm of the government is taking over? Everything, our parliamentary proceedings, how are we seeing it? Are parliamentarians representing us well enough in relation, our policies in line with the Constitution, certain acts that are pending, that are supposed to be passed, and there are all manner of meanings being read because of somebody's personal agenda on those laws. These are things that should come to the front table, because Ghana must grow. We have been through independence for how many years now? Can we say boldly that we are the foundation, or we are the people, the champions of constitutional practices or what. I mean, a few discussions should come out so that people will appreciate why this day. And of course, whenever we get these holidays, we should not lose sight of how much is going down the drain because we've taken time off to take a holiday and how it affects national development. But if you ask me, if we are going to celebrate such a day, there should be advocacy on why we are celebrating that day. There should be discussion for people to appreciate that this day is not just one of those holidays, but it's meant for this purpose. And are all those, alluding to democratic governance, are they practicing this kind of democracy using whatever the Constitution has stated? Is there equal rights? Is there universal adult suffrage? And all those things,
But where did it even come from? That if it falls on Sunday or Saturday, it should be moved to a working day. I mean, some of us work even on the weekends. So for us, there's nothing like a working day or not, because it's a 24/7 kind of work. But to be moved, it's a day. It has to fall on that day. That day is a day. Why should it move to, a working day?
Yeah, I appreciate what you are saying. I mean, Ghanaians love holidays, especially when we've just come out of Christmas and New Year and people are still in the holiday mood. They would want to have 1 or 2 more days too. But I think they are following a constitutional provision that says that this day should be moved to this day, or maybe it's a policy that when it comes, it falls on a Friday, it should be moved to. Otherwise, I don't see the difference. It's still a holiday, and people wouldn't go to work. Productivity will be low, and other socio-economic issues will also. Or people are just clamoring for this day to have a bit of respite to consolidate their preparation for the upcoming months ahead.
Now let's head to Graphic Online. It says Ghana's official creditors are scheduled to meet on Monday to discuss restructuring some $5.4 billion loans to the country. Now, 3 sources told Reuters a key step needed to secure its next tranche of funding from the International Monetary Fund. The bilateral lenders, including the governments of China and France, who co-chair the official creditor committee, hold around a quarter of Ghana's $20 billion external debt earmarked for restructuring. Now, the meeting is again expected to focus on an agreement about a cut-off date, quote, a date after which new loans from bilateral creditors will not be restructured, the sources with knowledge of the matter said. Now, defining this date has emerged as a stumbling block for Ghana and its debt rework. Some creditors are said to prefer December, that was last year, as cut-off, with Ghana defaulted earlier than that, according to sources. However, others push for March 24. Now, this has been a back and forth, going on and on, getting, some of our creditors to kind of agree with us to restructure our debts so we can get this money from IMF. But it looks like we keep going back. We take 1 step forward, go 10 steps backwards. Have you been following this, and what's your take on it?
It's rather sad, when the experts do some advocacy on our public debt and how we are going and where we are going in terms of GDP. Everybody should be interested so that we put a halt or we slow down on some of these loans that we are taking. Here we are. We started with this IMF thing, and they keep on pushing the dates. Pushing. Now China and others are coming in. It tells you that there is a point where you need to pull the brakes for national development. Currently, the system is so low in terms of resources to support development in our communities, in our regions. And so when the experts are clamoring that we should watch and that we are getting to the tipping end, we need to listen to them. Here we are now, we need resources to do what we want to do. But they now have the power or the authority to say, no, we are not agreeing to this date. We rather want to push it to this date. And the creditor is not just one person. by a number of countries. And they talk among themselves, these bilateral people. So it's rather unfortunate. We are all learning from this, that next time that we want to go out there for something of the sort alone, we need to consider what the experts are saying so that we don't get to that tipping end where we will now be going with cap in hand and pleading for nations to forgive us our debts and renegotiate for other things, and then they give us their deadlines and timelines, which is affecting our development processes. So if you ask me, I would say that I think it's a lesson that we will learn, because I remember when the experts, the financial experts, the economic experts were talking about the debt to GDP ratio, and that where we were traveling to was very dangerous and slippery, and so we should pull the brakes. But we kept on doing it, and this is where we are. It has affected everything. We were told there wouldn't be any haircuts, but there are haircuts all over the place. People are suffering.
Were you affected in any way?
No, please.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yes. But, you know, certain investments that I have is being affected. They are not paying whatever they are supposed to pay in terms of interest or dividends at the right time, because something is happening. The haircut is happening, we don't know. So whoever says that's not his business is a lie. Your mom, your grandmom has suffered due to this haircuts, and people have even lost their lives. So we plead with government to sometimes listen to the key experts, come to table with them and discuss how best some of these financial and economic issues can be addressed, so that we will not go that deep into the gullies where people even lose their lives because they cannot access their own resources that they decided to put aside for the future.
Auntie Joyce, what will you do with $7 million?
$7 million?
Yes.
I will empower marginalized women, rural women, dropout girls, teenage mothers, and put them in a situation, in a sustainable situation, where life will be meaningful to them to break the poverty cycle.
The amount of money could be won by Ghana if they do well in the Afcon, because that's the prize for the winner of the Afcon 2023. I don't know whether you've heard about it, but the Confederation of African Football, that's CAF, has announced a 40% increase in the prize money for the winner of the 2023 Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations, to be held in Cote d'Ivoire from January 13 to February 11. Now, the winner will receive $7 million as against $5 million given to the previous winners, Senegal, in 2021. Now, the runner-up will also get $4 million, while each of the two semi-finalists will receive $2.5 million, and each of the four quarter-finalists will get $1.3 million. And CAF announced this Thursday. Do you think Ghana can qualify?
If you ask me...
Not qualify, basically, because they're going to do it anyway. But do you think Ghana will win?
There has been a lot of hue and cry about the football management in this country. And I follow. I'm not a critical, and I'm not an ardent follower of football, but I'm interested where Ghana is making progress towards winning, where our footballers out there are also creating very strong impacts. Their names are mentioned and becomes glory to us.
Right.
Somebody like Kudus. I don't know Kudus, but Kudus is a live wire in the West Ham United team. And so now that he's even leaving to come and join our team here, it's becoming a problem for West Ham. Football is business, is big, provided we manage it well. I was saddened when one of the football pundits had to complain about the Accra Sports Stadium being used for musical concerts. I mean, sports is a tool that can bring development, that can bring communities, nations together. Polarized systems like we have here can unite all of us. But people are complaining about football management. I don't know exactly. The last one I heard was when Black Stars were supposed to go to South Africa for their training session. Number one, South Africa, the weather is not the same as Ghana.
Well, that's not the first time Ghana has actually gone to South Africa to prepare for the games anyway. They've been doing that for some time. I mean, they hardly even stay in the country to do that.
But look, we are suffering economic crisis. We don't have resources.
Well, you have a
And
point
Cote d'Ivoire is just a next door. So why can't we do our training sessions here where we will appreciate the weather and all those things, and then without stress, move in and then engage in the tournament, rather than traveling, the cost, the hotel, and the stress.
But if we had the facilities, or the other African nations had those facilities, we would have stayed.
You've just mentioned facility. They've been winning certain tournaments that could have helped improved facilities, football facilities around the country. Where are we, if you look at Accra Sports Stadium and our preparedness to win the Afcon? If you ask me, we will do our best. We'll give them the support and cheer them up. But they are equally stronger, teams out there who are vying for the 7 million.
Auntie Joyce, do you have faith?
I have faith.
Do you think
but
this
faith, I'm scared. I'm not sure of this faith.
But if they should win the prize money, what will it mean for the sport in Ghana?
Of course, if they would do the right things, put their priorities right, repackage football in Ghana, and get the key people to put the structures, the infrastructure in place, and reward. Players, some of these are local players, they take as low as 500 Ghana cedis a month. Can you imagine?
Yes.
When his colleague is taking about 50,000 pounds every week. Please, we have to be very serious with our football. And I am a football fan, and I wish Ghana will be there as any other nation. But Mali is coming. They are very stronger for Egypt. Will not sit.
Well, Ghana has won the Cup 4 times. 1963, 1965, 1978, and the last one in 1982.
How many years ago?
Can you imagine? I think more than 40 or years ago. And if this should happen, we're hoping they win. But what do you also think about the new coach, Chris Hilton?
Ghanaians are full of criticizing people. Immediately the man stepped in that shoe, people started running all meanings and not having faith in him. So when things happen like that, the man himself is become worried as to what the citizenry think about. Immediately others were shouting that he should go. He should go. We had Akwesi Appiah, our own, and yet we said he wasn't good enough. We dropped him and brought another person. So Ghanaians should give coaches and our coach a chance to travel a distance with the team, and then we can draw conclusions. I think this coach has been around for maybe 2 or 3 years.
But there's this local balance that if you are really, going to ensure that these people are going to win the game, we have to see something. But since then,
now what it takes to make the game very interesting and exciting, it's not there.
Anyway, I wish we could go on and on about the Black Stars, but unfortunately, when you're having fun, the time seems to be going so fast. Thank you so much, Auntie Joyce, for coming on the AM show this morning. We are so glad you made it. And that's it for the news review here on the AM show. Definitely, I think sports will have more to discuss on this prize money for the Afcon. Up next is sports.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope it was nice.
For more than 30 years, he has contributed his quota to the development of the various spheres of football, entertainment, and music in this country. He is a media executive, former chief executive officer of Metro Television, the man who came up with the idea of MTN Soccer Academy. Prior to Ghana's participation in the FIFA World Cup in 2006, he came up with a special song, proud to the 2010 World Cup again. He came up with another song that he said straight to the top. And indeed, in that tournament, when, I don't know whether he's a prophet, but maybe he was a prophet, he said straight to the top. And indeed, the Black Stars went straight to the top as they made it to the quarterfinal of the FIFA World Cup. And he's a musician himself. He says his first love is music. I guess by now you have an idea, but the person I'm talking about, he is Talal Fatal, my guest tonight on Prime Take. Talal,
hey,
how you doing?
Kudos.
Nice to see you.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
How is everything?
Well, we are managing. We thank God for life. And I've just arrived in the country. Okay. I've been honored and given an award, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. Yeah. But as for me, I've spent all my lives in Ghana, okay, and very grateful to all my experiences and to the people of Ghana. In fact, if I can sum it up, I am nothing without them. They made me what I am, and I'm grateful to the people of Ghana and Africa for making me one of your own. Perhaps this could have been the ending, but you know what? You know, let me start on a note of gratefulness, because I am grateful. Thank you for making me one of your own.
Talal, you say you were out of the country. Where did you travel to?
And currently, my daughters are in university in Turkey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've decided to spend some quality time with them.
Oh, okay.
You know, they are there for probably another 3-4 years.
Oh, wow.
And after that, they're going to get married, you know. And when they get married, then the husbands whisk them. I don't see them again.
This is the time to spend quality time with them.
Yeah, so let me go and then also me spend some quality time.
Oh, wow.
Before some husband come and whisk them away.
That's a good one. Will you give me one? Will you give me one?
Why not? The highest bidder. Oh.
Tell me, how would you describe your early days, your early beginnings?
As I said, you know, spent a lot of years. In fact, my family, my grandfather came to Ghana in 1918.
Wow.
So we have been in Ghana, the Fatal family, for 105 years. Wow. You know, yeah. And we came by ship, and it took about 1.5 months to reach here. My grandmother died in Ghana. My father is born in Ghana, Sami Fatal, and died in Ghana 16 years ago. May his soul rest in peace. He's buried at Osu Cemetery. I'm born in Ghana. My kids are born in Ghana, and by God's will, I will die in Ghana.
So you're a Ghanaian, actually?
Yes,
a Ghanaian of Lebanese origin?
Yes, Ghanaian of Lebanese origin, yes.
Okay.
And I'm proud of it. If you dare and call me something else, you're in trouble. Oh.
So you had your education too in Ghana?
Yes, yes, yes. I went to Ghana International School,
okay.
GIS, you know, good school, and it's a melting pot of many nationalities. So it brings you up sort of like a culture, diverse and open to the world.
Okay.
And that helped in shaping up my personality.
Oh, wow. I see. Then one of the things we know so much about you is actually your role as a media executive. How did you rise to setting up Metro Television and all the things you did? And in fact, one of the things people also know about you is your music journey. How did you get into music?
Yeah, I mean, the music and the media, M&M, of course. I think before even we go there, let me take it from school.
Okay.
School is, and that is where the roots and the seeds are, you know, sown, which later you ask yourself, why am I in television? Why am I organizing football tournaments, football rights? Yeah. It all started from school. I was in Form 2 organizing football gala for Form 3, 4, and 5 for the elders. And I used to do it with all the league and prizes. And my love for organizing events started from there. You know, and then when I graduated, I went into farming. And I was exporting pineapples at Samsam. Was not a bad experience. And from there, I went into a restaurant at Osu. There was nobody in Osu, Oxford Street. I opened the top of Oxford Street. I had a snacks restaurant called Number One. It was very popular, selling snacks and ice cream. So this is how the journey started, and somewhere along the line at Number One Snacks, I started meeting a lot of people and a lot of personalities. So I met Tommy Annan Forsen, who, one day crashed at my office and heard me singing on my own and said, "Oh my God, is that you?" I said, "Yes." "Talal, you have to record this song." I'll put it on air. And this is how my music journey started. Tommy Annan Forsen, he pushed me onto music.
Wow.
And then also another gentleman there, Mr. Rex Dankwa. They always used to come and, patronize the Number One Snacks, who had good food, I believe, and ice cream and so. And he also introduced me to the media through his Leisure Awards, Leisure newspaper, and I was doing press ads for him, and I also discovered that I have a love and knack for the media. So the creativity intersecting between music spun into the fabric of advertising and media.
Okay.
And that's what made it, at the end, my products, as they are out of the box, one of their own. Because it wasn't just stereotype, it was creative.
Wow, that's an interesting one. So would it be the conversations you had with Tommy Annan Forsen that also influenced your decision to set up a media house?
No. The music started before the media. So I did my first album with Carlos Seche.
Okay.
They used to call us Ebony and Ivory. We won ECRAC Discovery of the Year award.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and my song was pop. So it was very strange for a pop song to be, a hit. The Ghanaians loved it, and I introduced Afropop. Yes, I did second album. First album was It's Not Over, called. The second album, Where Are You, was not so successful. But the third album, we all know, Forgive and Forget, was a big hit. Big hit with the populace in Ghana, with all the ladies and the young girls. I had a road show, the secondary schools, and they used to really love it and scream. But the Forgive and Forget album caught the attention of, even in Nigeria, Sonny Ade of Sigma Disc. He signed me on and was about to release me in Nigeria when the coup happened.
Oh, okay.
So that's my third album, and after that I released 2 more albums. Money and Fame, beautiful album, was my favorite actually, and the Black Stars song with some singles with Kwesi P and other artists.
Wow. Yeah. But when did the media thing come into the picture?
Exactly. So my music was in 1990, I released Forgive and Forget. Around that time, that's where the media started. Because through my endeavors in the media, I was doing like TV interview with you. I do a newspaper story, press release. Or I go on radio with Carl Bannerman and all the giants of radio by then. There was only GVC by then. I got the experience of syndicating radio, TV, and the press. So I used that music promotion to input the birth of the advertising agency, which is called Media Number One.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I started it with my brother, Fadi Fatal.
Oh, okay.
Yes, together. And within 5 years, we won Agency of the Year twice. 1995, 1996. And 1997 was the birth of Metro TV.
97?
Yes. So that is the transition from advertising, was from 1990 to 1997, the Metro TV 1997.
So from snacks to advertising to Metro TV.
Yeah, I forgot also, I was doing the export of pineapples.
The export of pineapples as well.
You know, the funny story about the pineapples, that Ghana's pineapple is sweet, but it's green color. So, you know, when I tell the creativity, you input it into everything, farming, music, advertising, media. So I was creative and managed to get some chemicals. When you spray the pineapple, it becomes golden color. So, it started to sell better in Europe. Because when they see Ivory Coast pineapple is yellow, they buy it golden, then the Ghana green one. But the green one in Ghana is still sweet. So if you spray it, so when I did that, and all the farmers, you know, say, oh, come and spray my pineapples, and it was fun, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
You grew up with business ideas.
Yes. I mean, I love enterprise. I love enterprise. I love free spirit. And by God's power, I would say I am nobody, I am nothing. I'm the people's servant, but I'm creative by His grace. So I'm always bubbling, you know.
Your father was a creative person as well?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. But here he was a good dancer, you know, rock and roll.
Oh, I see.
Well, I am not.
But you sing?
But my father used to sing, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then your genes actually came from your dad.
I discovered that late, but yes, I think so. I used to sing to myself in the bedroom and in front of the mirror, and I was in love with the Bee Gees. And when Saturday Night Fever came out, you know, and John Travolta, and How Deep Is Your Love, and all these songs, so I love the Bee Gees. I'm crazy about them. So that's my music became cemented through singing these artists, and later it influenced me along Lionel Richie, Kenny Rogers, Barry Manilow, and so many other artists, you know, to start composing my own music.
I heard Osibisa too.
Osibisa actually it was Curtain Raiser. Curtain Raiser at the Akaspo Stadium, big show with musical youth. And I can tell you it was massive, fully packed, organized by Kojo Bonsu, you know. Everybody has done his part in this world. But I continued on to do Curtain Raiser for Jimmy Cliff, Alpha Blondy, Jermaine Jackson when he came to Ghana. So I did Curtain Raisers for all of them, Onyeka Nwenu in Nigeria, Majek Fashek. I was invited to the Piman Awards in Nigeria, Alexito, and yes, so I've had a good, you know, roundup of playing Curtain Raiser. But the one I enjoyed most was the road show to the schools in Ghana.
Okay.
Abori Girls, Tamasco, Holy Child, Fancy Film, no. And Takrady, and then Tamasco, all the ladies' schools, because...
Then that should be in Fancy Man, right?
Yeah, yes. So they loved Forgive and Forget, you know, it caught on with the ladies as well. So that road show, we did about 15 schools. It was lovely.
Let's come back to the media aspect, which is the area that many of us actually got to know about you, which is Metro Television. How did the name and everything about Metro come all about?
Yeah, Metro TV is like a baby that was born. In fact, I think it's one of the best things that ever has happened to me. And I have to thank the government of Ghana, because Metro TV, unlike the conventional knowledge that people think, I do not own it 100%. It was a joint venture between me, my company, and GBC.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so we were the first with TV3 to broadcast free to air. So Metropolitan Television, you know, came about by this joint venture. So Metropolitan, I cut it short to Metro TV. And of course, I was the CEO, the manager. GBC was a silent partner.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so, and the years flew by nicely after that.
So GBC were more of shareholders of Metro TV?
Yeah. The whole concept was that I run it, but it was 50-50.
Oh, really?
Yes. I started with a very small capital. If I tell you how much, if somebody tells you that capital, is an obstacle in your way, take it from me. The capital that is important is the one in your head, is the idea. That one, it can be valued. That one is in millions because that is king. Content is king. But capital, anybody can give you money or you can borrow money. So I started Metro TV with a very small amount of money.
How much?
No, I'm not going to go into that. But I can tell you with the modest amount, and I started broadcasting. You see, I did the concept around we growing and scaling up month by month and year by year. So I started broadcasting only on weekends first. Saturday, Sunday, then we added Friday, then we added Wednesday. And then we went full week, then we went 24 hours, then we went to Kumasi, and then before 2-3 years we were nationwide. First TV station, private TV station to broadcast nationwide. And the first to go on satellite as well. Use satellite to transmit. First to do news in local languages. First to dub Mexican soaps locally. First to go on DSTV. First to take Ghana Premier League onto SuperSport. And first to bring Al Jazeera and MTV base to Africa. That's Metro for you.
So in 1997, assuming I wanted to go into a partnership with GBC for a 50-50 setup of a media organization with $5,000, $10,000, that would have been enough?
No, it was hundreds of thousands now. But people start up TV.
It was hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, people start
dollars or
no, of course dollars. People start TV stations with millions, okay? But we started, and we also, of course, took loans and all of that. But not to talk too much about capital. All I'm trying to say is that don't let the capital be an obstacle to your big idea. Your big idea is more important, more valuable than the capital. You can source capital, but you cannot source the idea. The idea is yours. You own it. That's your selling point. And what happened is that GBC actually came to me to propose the joint venture because I already started doing private production with them. I was the first company to do private TV production. I opened the taboo, and I keep on saying me, myself, and I apologize. I am nobody, because I always say I am nobody. But I started the first private TV production, and after that, the doors opened for people to start bringing in TV programs. And the program was popular, people know it, called Smash TV.
Oh, okay.
Smash TV and TV Market. TV Market that was hosted by Tommy Annan Frosten, Kofi Adjololo. Kofi Adjololo grew from there. Not the big star he is right now. And then Smash TV, I brought Abraham Ohini-Jan. I picked him from UK, the school, and brought him here to do the program. And now, although Abraham is one of the biggest directors, I'm so proud of him. Abraham Ohini-Jan, I'm sure you heard about him.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Smash TV, TV Market, and I started the advertising cycle on GBC. And when GBC saw these three programs, they said, hey, why don't you do a private TV station so you can focus on entertainment and GBC can do, news and edutainment and all of that. And this is how the whole thing started.
Oh, good one. And then you added sports as well.
The sports twist came later. We started first with the drama entertainment. I was showing Oprah Winfrey, Bold and Beautiful. Ladies, you remember? Bold and Beautiful. And Oprah Winfrey, Tyra Banks, and all these shows. Then I got a break having the English Premier League rights. So people started watching Metro. Then I realized that sports has its hook. And before I know, the World Cup rights for 2006, Germany landed on my lap. So I snapped it because I'm in love with football and I love the organization. And we took it immediately and syndicated it in Ghana to, I think, 3 TV stations, TV3, Metro, and GBC.
I remember the 2006 World Cup very well, where you came out with this Black Stars Diaries and all.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yes, the Diaries came out surprisingly when I didn't have the rights for the African Cup in Egypt. before Germany.
Yeah, that was 2006 Africa.
Yes, well, I didn't have the rights for the African Cup. Then I created the diaries as an alternative concept behind the scenes, and it was a big hit. And you know, from there, then I took it up again to Germany. It was lovely times we spent, you know, covering the Black Stars in camp. The beauty about the Black Stars diaries is that we take the off moments of the football on the pitch, with the players eating, laughing, crying sometimes, singing, in the hotel, you know, in the elevator, and you know, special moments. It was, and combined with some scenery from the towns where they were, it became like a magazine show, you know, and it worked well.
How were you able to get these in terms of rights, or how did you do it?
They say Nyame Woho. God deal. If God wants to favor you, it shall be well. Yeah, when I started, I got the Germany in 2006. Yeah, then after that, 2008, I also got the African Cup of Nations. And we syndicated it to about 8 TV stations in Ghana. So we became known, and by then I created the OMP as a media independent arm, and also event management and sponsorship, so that we can split between Metro. Metro, you know, is got a different duty as a broadcaster. Yes, so I mean, rights like the UEFA Cup and Champions League and all of that was easier to get because we had a track record. You know, from the African Cup to the Germany World Cup, and then Black Stars Diary. So when we compete and bid, we used to win it because based on our track record. Yes, so we got the 2010 as well in South Africa.
Yes, yeah.
And that was the biggest. It was lovely because, as you said, Ghana went all the way straight to the top.
Because you said, we are going straight to that.
Well, I didn't know. I wrote the song, you know, before we went to South Africa. And some people said, oh, Talal, well, you brought us good luck. Well, I said, I didn't know that. I was just expressing my heart. You know, when you work and when you process your thoughts into actions with the heart, you tend to come out with a beautiful output, you know, because it is straight from your heart. And so I just did the song and I called it straight to the top. That's how I felt. The lyrics, I wrote them, and it was amazing. I mean, I was at the stadium when Asamoah missed the semi-final. My brother, apologies to you. You know you are my big brother. Asamoah, you are my brother. Yes, and I was there live. And I tell you what, there was no need even to have gone to that even penalty by Asamoah Gyan. Because the goal that was Suarez held up his hand, it was a goal. There was no goal line technology by then.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, yeah.
But I can tell you, I was at the pitch. And at the pitch, you have about 16 cameras, you know. So one camera is on the linesman at the end of the park. And the linesman's duty is to see the ball on the line, and the main referee will see the ball head on. So the referee cannot see if the ball has crossed the goal line, but the linesman saw it. And if you go back to the rushes, you see the linesman flagged his flag to the yeah, it's a goal, and that should have been the cue for the referee to have accepted it as a goal and give Africa its due for organizing this tournament, and for Ghana to have reached the semi-final for the first time in history, African country. It was very unfair. Go back to the rushes and you see that the linesman pointed his flag towards the center. It's a goal.
So the tournament, you did on-ground production?
Yes.
You didn't pick the feed, you did on-ground production?
No, we did behind the scenes. So we used to go what we call the mixed zone. Mixed zone, after every game, the players come out, then we interview them. Yeah. Also press conference after the game, before the game. I used to also interview them in the hotel and when they are training. We had access through a private agreement with the Ghana Football Association.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and it was exclusive, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So at that time it was interesting. We introduced the technology of the SIM card, 4G, where we can go live by using the backpack.
Okay.
Yes, so we started going live from the lift, the elevator, the bus, coming back to the Jama when they are eating. I even went live from the helicopter myself, using this small SIM card, backpack, and then you go live. So it made things even more interesting.
Wow. You brought a different flair to watching the Black Stars, because you gave us access to content that hitherto Ghanaians wouldn't have seen. And sometimes people would always wonder, in terms of content production, what are some of the core things that has to happen behind the scenes?
Well, that's a very, very, very interesting question, because the diaries, I flew to South Africa with 20 staff, 20. Had to rent 2 houses for the production, for the editing, for the graphics. We had graphics, we had 2-3 editors. Ignis, where are you? He was editing with us. Mr. Astus was there, the head of production. William Asari was on the field. We had a very good team, but we had also 3 cars. So it was a big operation, I can tell you, and but thoroughly enjoyable. Some of us also will be cooking Ghanaian food, which we love.
20
I love
stuff.
20. We went to South Africa 20. We had about coming back 55 bags, equipments and stuff like that. But this is what television is all about, isn't it?
The willingness to invest.
Not just invest, but to make sure you invest to give out the best for the people of Ghana and for the viewer, because you are working for them, and that is your mission statement, and not 1 or 2 ways about that.
How did you bring the Champions League to Ghana?
Champions League, unfortunately, they'll give it to you, but very limited matches.
Yeah,
because SuperSport had the rights. So if SuperSport, let's say, had 32 matches, they will give us, let's say, 12, 14. So the finals, semi-finals, so we used to bring it, but it was not, as a whole package. But still, people enjoyed it.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's
and even the Euro Cup, I also brought it, Euro Cup as well.
I remember, and there was those days, it is now Carabao Cup, the Carling Cup, you had it. You had a Premier League of Metro TV. And in fact, you created Metro Sports.
Yeah, the sports became our niche. So much that Metro Sports became almost like a TV station on its own.
Yeah.
And sports occupied a lot of our airtime. Yeah, and we had a lot of magazine programs. We had Sports Beat, Sports Cafe, Sports Highlights, and not just the live aspect, And we also had the Ghana Premier League. We won the rights to show Ghana Premier League live. And the interesting story that, before I got the rights for SuperSport to agree to show Ghana Premier League live on SuperSport, I had to follow the CEO of SuperSport in about 4 countries around Africa. Imtiaz chased him until he got fed up. He said, Talal, what do you want? I said, I want Ghana Premier League on SuperSport. So I chased him to the mosque. He was praying. And I said, look, now we are in the mosque, Imtiaz. You have to give it to us. So he said, Talal. He said, but we can't pay you. I say you. Just whatever you give us, we'll grow it. So it started 5-year production. We did 5 seasons. And unfortunately, when we stopped, it's never gone back to SuperSport.
Yes, because I remember you taught almost every single league center in the country to bring production of Ghana Premier matches.
Yeah.
Tell us, what are some of the challenges of those productions that you did?
Look, our productions, they were fine, but they could be better. Better because we needed more technical equipment, and that is investment, more money, and TV. I always describe TV as a bottomless pit. If you just listen to the word bottomless pit, it tells you that no matter how much money you put into TV, you won't see the bottom of it. So yes, we need to invest more equipment, more cameras, and and Uplink and OB-Van, and we had them, but they weren't the top of the line. So I believe if I had the chance, I had more finance, I would have done top quality, but still what we did was good enough. That SuperSport is to take it, uplink it live to them and show it on SuperSport. For 5 years, they were showing Ghana Premier League.
For 5 years, they were showing Ghana Premier League. And I remember watching some of the Ghana Premier League games on SuperSport, and it was a feeling that every Ghanaian wanted to be a part of. But there are many people who often say that some of the challenges when it comes to Ghana football being able to attract the right media productions has to do with the fact that they claim the clubs are not open enough. If you are to offer an advice to the clubs and the Ghana Football Association, what would that advice be so that they would be able to attract the best of production houses to produce
I think the clubs have no hand in production houses. This is a relationship between Ghana Football Association, GFA, and the broadcaster. It's a technical...
then the advice goes to the GFA then?
Not even the GFA. I think what makes a production better is equipment. Equipment is investment. So therefore, when SuperSport they actually attempted, SuperSport were producing Ghana Premier League after I left. Yes.
In 2016.
Yes. And it was better because I brought the OB-Van for them from Lagos. Yeah, so it's all about equipment, and then having sponsorship money is what drives this. You have good sponsorship, then you can improve your production, the viewer is happy, the broadcaster is also happy, he also gets complimentary advertising, and GFA also get their money to pay the clubs. Though whatever they pay wasn't always enough for the clubs. The money up to now is still not enough. So sponsorship is a big deal, and that's what drives the English Premier League or La Liga or any league in the world, the sponsorship of the league. You need huge amounts to make an informed, marked difference in the league.
So is a sponsorship for the media or for the FA? Because I remember about 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago, the media production right for the Premier League was about 5 billion. So
I mean 5 billion.
TV,
but
TV pumps a lot.
Let's divide it into dollars and see. It's $500,000. So I don't know how much is it. Is it or is it $5 million? Okay.
It's about $5 billion. $5.3 billion.
Cities. So it's $1 million.
No, I'm referring to the Premier League, the English Premier League.
English.
Yeah,
oh my God. Oh no. I mean, it's like a budget of a country, isn't it? English Premier League. Yeah, it is. This shows you the power of
the product.
Even movies. You have a movie that can sell for $2 billion. I mean, a country needs that money. Shows you that when you invest in the right content, right production, you can make it back. It's a matter of planning and advanced planning with some good pre-synopsis, So at the end of the day, English Premier League is amazing. And by the way, let me give a shout out to Liverpool. We're the best.
So when you were buying the broadcast rights for the Ghana Premier League, would you say you were able to recoup your money?
For this one, I will talk. I will talk because SuperSport wasn't paying enough, and they made it clear to you from the beginning that we are giving you, exposure and a break. So we had to subsidize and sacrifice. I'm not saying that to let people say, oh, Talal, you lost because of Ghana Premier League. But I want to say that some of us, not every time must think of money, must sacrifice and subsidize to achieve a degree, to where this product is going to go. Then later the money will come. It's not the money should come first, then I will now deliver the product. Sacrifice and produce the product, and later the money will come. So we weren't getting good enough money. Until we left it, the money was not enough. But I knew how to economize in the production costs. I mean, that's one of the best things I do. I'm able to cut administration costs down to the barest minimum and make productions feasible. But we didn't make much money out of it, no.
You didn't make much money?
But I was happy I was doing my service for Mother Ghana and for Ghana football. Because Ghana is great, not just for what it is and its heritage and its tradition and its independence, but football. Football is a very big product, and if we know how to market it well, believe me, just like is it Sweden? Look at ABBA, their music.
Yeah.
It's the biggest earner for the whole country, a musical band. So it's all about marketing, planning, and making the right
days,
moves.
how much was the FA selling the broadcast rights?
This one, you want to put us in trouble or no?
No. But now the FA, everyone knows the price the FA is selling the broadcast right now.
Yeah. I think the FA was not an issue for us. The FA were reasonable, to be honest with you. They were very empowering for us. They were very happy that they have a company or MP will do the production and show it on Metro TV, other stations, send it to SuperSport. They know that our cost was have to pay satellite uplink costs, so they're happy to give us an accommodating package to buy the rights. But then again, they also had sponsors who they will bring. So let's say we can bring 8 sponsors, so they will take 4, we will take 4. You always have to be creative.
Okay.
Yes. Say, you pay this amount, but sponsorship, you allow us to bring some and you bring some. And I used to be accommodating.
Okay, then that's a good one. I'm sure you don't want to mention the figures, so I understand. Right?
People don't understand now because the dollar has changed.
No, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. So for instance,
it makes it very unfathomable. It's difficult now to break it down and put it in all of that.
Because the current broadcast holder pays like about $5 million for the agreement was for like, is it for 5 years or something?
Yeah, $1 million a year, yes.
Yeah, so in those days.
So by then it was maybe around $300,000, $400,000 a year. It's economies of scale. Economies of scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget that they wanted us to be able to produce, so that they can also get the product, and we share advertising revenue.
That's a good one. And so you were the producer when the competition was One Touch Premier League? Were you one producing?
We did not get involved in those. Those are the ones brought by GFA.
Yes.
They take the money.
Yes.
So I cannot remember, but I know it changed hands. There was Glow. The top four were also in charge of it. For Glow and FA Cup, and we were right in the middle of things.
Okay. Then there was the MTN Soccer Academy.
Yeah, that is special. That's also special. I just saw so many reality shows, all the singing, and there wasn't any soccer. So I said, let me do a soccer talent reality show. And I had this land here, 2 acres, it was bush. So we graded, about 1 acre, and we had a small house, started the competition, and we started screening about 1,000 players down to 18. Second season, 2,000 players, 3,000 tests, it started growing. But the first season was special because, I always say the first cut is the deepest, And where Gideon Ba won that award. Gideon Ba is very dear to my heart. He calls me father. And, this gentleman, this player, he deserves because what he has achieved so far, he's very disciplined. Football, you have to be disciplined. He was not deterred. He was not, lose concentration. I managed to get a deal for him to go to Chelsea as the prize.
Yeah.
And he went there, and I met Michael Essien, and he almost made it into the academy. But that time when he went, he wasn't prepared for the cold, so he started bleeding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he had to come back. And then I sold him to Asante Kotoko because part of the deal, we also had a local club by then, Zaituna. So we sold it to Kotoko at one of the highest prices by then, 50,000 Ghana cedis.
Wow.
Yes, around then. Now it's still big money.
Yeah, it is.
And he played well, and he broke his leg.
Yeah, I remember.
2 years, he went in rehabilitation, woke up, played again, got a contract in FC Honka in Finland, I think. And from there went on to New York Bulls. Is it New York Bulls? He went to New York, yeah. So this player, Gideon Ba, is very disciplined, very focused, and I wish him all the best.
You wish him all the best.
And before I go, the most interesting one was the Soccer Academy, the Ghana-Nigeria one. That was special.
Yes.
That one, I went to Nigeria to do screening of football players in Nigeria. And MTN sponsored there, and they, of course, sponsored here in Ghana. We brought 8 Ghanaians, 8 Nigerians. We've never had a higher amount of SMS text for a reality show. It was amazing. Nigeria is a formula for, I don't know, formula for
we compete over everything, from jollof to football.
I'm telling you.
Welcome back to the AM show with me, Mamisi Nyamiche Thompson. Now, recently, some unscrupulous people cloned the voice of our on-air personalities and claimed Joy News has endorsed a miraculous high blood pressure medicine. Some people besieged our office in search of this miraculous drug. They called into our stations demanding to buy the drug. This shows that hypertension is a serious problem in Ghana. But what is high blood pressure? High blood pressure symptomatic? When you are sweating, experiencing anxiety and having sleeping problems, does it mean you have hypertension? Without detection, hypertension can damage the heart, blood vessels, and other organs such as the kidneys. Now, joining me via Zoom for more on this is Wing Commander Dr. Benjamin Toba, physician specialist, 37 Military Hospital, cardiology fellow in training, and military aircrew medical examiner. Dr. Benjamin Toba, we're grateful for your time here on the AM show. Kindly unmute. Yes.
Great.
Happy New Year, Doc.
Thank you. Many happy returns, and Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you so much. I hope it's been good for you so far.
Actually, it hasn't been. It's been a very tiring Christmas break. I've been on duty back to back, both in 37 and Kolebu, so it's been pretty stressful. And unfortunately, even last night I lost a patient. It's not the best of.
We're so sorry about that. So sorry about that. And I hope you have to get rest. You know that. You're the doctor who tells us to rest all the time.
I know. Yeah.
Well, to get into our discussion, first of all, basically, what is hypertension?
Well, hypertension basically is increased blood pressure above a certain set target. The WHO target for defining it is the fence, if we can call it an electric fence of some sort, is 140/90. So once you touch the fence, you are hypertensive. If both feet are on the fence, you are hypertensive. If one crosses and the other is on this side of the fence, you are hypertensive. If the other foot crosses and the other one is rather here, is hypertensive. Basically, what I'm saying is if one of those figures is above the fence of 140/90, you are hypertensive. So you can have 120/90, you are hypertensive. You can have 140/80, you are hypertensive.
Well, I'd like to know from you, what is the situation here in Ghana, the statistics? How many people are reporting this?
Well, a recent survey that was conducted somewhere in reported in 2021, which was a meta-analysis of over 45,000 people right from the north to the south of Ghana. And when they validated the study through the clinically approved protocol, and they got about 30,000 people who met the criteria for defining who is hypertensive and who is not. And from that pooled study across 24 sites in the nation, we realized that 30.3% of Ghanaians are hypertensive. And it was about 30.1 in females, and then it was 30.4%. So basically a third of Ghanaians are hypertensive. Every average adult Ghanaian, you see 3 of them walking on the street, 1 of them is hypertensive.
Wow. But Doc, how do I know I have hypertension? What are the symptoms? What shows that I have hypertension?
Unfortunately, hypertension is largely asymptomatic. If you want to feel something to know you're hypertensive, then you are really already in danger. It means that the hypertension-mediated organ damage has already set in. So you walk around, your blood pressure will be high, and you will not know about it. And when you start experiencing symptoms, it means that the target organ damage has already set in. That's why the symptoms have started manifesting. And so it's largely asymptomatic. That's why we encourage everybody to basically go for regular health checks so they can know that they have hypertension.
Well, I've been glancing through some information on the World Health Organization website, and it tells us that an estimated 1.28 billion adults aged between 30 and 79 years have hypertension worldwide, and most of the people in this bracket are living in low and middle income countries. About 2/3 of that number are living in low and middle income countries. Really, what is contributing to this, and why the high numbers in low and middle income countries?
Well, the spread is global, and whether you are in a high income country or low and middle income country or not, the prevalence is high, and the contributing factors we can group them into those that are modifiable. They are more like risk factors, and then there are those that are not modifiable. And then those that are not modifiable basically has to do with age. The older we grow, the higher the risk of it becoming hypertensive. And then those that are males are more at risk of being hypertensive, the male gender. So the boy child is a threatened species in the world. Ethnicity, those who are blacks compared with white people, blacks are more at risk of being hypertensive as opposed to Caucasians. And then if you have a family history of hypertension, then your risk of developing hypertension is higher. So those are factors that we can't do anything about them. No, we can't stop growing. We can't determine that what gender will belong to, and I mean the sex category, that's male and female to be specific. And then you can't decide that you are black or white. So you can't do anything about them. But those factors that we can modify: alcohol consumption, high alcohol consumption, cigarette smoking, diabetes, obesity, high intake of sodium, salt, and cholesterol abnormalities, physical inactivity, all those factors have been found to contribute. Stress. So those are things we can do something about. So if these are factors, once you minimize your risk of becoming hypertensive as a result of these risk factors will reduce.
Well, Doc, you see patients every day. When they come to you, how do they exhibit these symptoms? Or it's asymptomatic, but they come to you. Can you tell us how they're managing it?
Well, yeah, it's largely asymptomatic, but the Ghanaian health-seeking behavior is not the most encouraging. We tend to get to the hospital when things are pretty far advanced. So a lot of them will come already having certain symptoms that are pointing towards organ damage, headaches, they are breathless, they have palpitations, some of them have chest pain. Some, when their heart has done so much to fight against that high pressure and is starting to fail, they will have easy fatigability. That's how we call it. The person gets tired easily on the slightest exertion. And since one of the organs that can be damaged are the eyes, some will come with eye problems, and then they go to the eye specialist who looks into the eye and then sees evidence of hypertension damage in the eye. And some, the damage to the brain may lead to them having either a stroke or symptoms that are suggestive of that, or a loss of consciousness. Some may come in with seizures. It is then that it is discovered that they are hypertensive. So it is the problem related to the damage by the hypertension that tends to bring a lot of patients to the hospital, and that is not good.
Doc, how about family history? Does it in any way play a role in hypertension? And if that runs in the family, should the members of that particular family be concerned?
Oh yes, they should be. I mean, if a significant member of the family, like your parent or a sibling, is hypertensive, you want to make sure that your blood pressures are checked regularly. So if you are not yet hypertensive, and you take every step to ensure that you don't become hypertensive later on, because it's a risk factor. And once it runs in the family, your risk is higher than the average person in the population. So a member of family who has hypertension makes you want to go to the doctor to have your blood pressure checked to be sure that you are not hypertensive. And if you are, then steps can be taken to keep that blood pressure in check so you can live a full life on God's earth.
So, I mean, looking at the country too as a whole, you mentioned earlier that about 30%, 1 in 3 people could be suffering hypertension. As a country, what are we not doing right to ensure that, what are we not doing right that's making more people hypertensive?
Well, as for the solutions, I think they have to be tackled at multiple levels, national policy levels and the level of the health care system and then the level of the patient. So all the key stakeholders who should come into play to have a comprehensive healthcare system in place, and then encouraging good health-seeking behavior by Ghanaians through regular awareness creation, through all the various media like yours, it's very important in helping to address the problem. Because if the average Ghanaian can approach a healthcare center and not worry about the cost of treatment, and so check their health status, in order to be sure that for this year I'm good to go, or for this year I have 1 or 2 problems that I need to keep an eye or 2 on, so that at the end of the year I can know that I have had a good run and in good health. So the things that we need to do to make sure that these problems are solved are quite enormous, and it is at multiple levels, policy levels, and then lower levels, all the way to individual responsibility for personal health care. And one thing that I find troubling is that a lot of patients come into the hospital and they are not even registered on NHIS, in order to minimize the cost of their health care. That is troubling. And so we try to encourage them to do that, so that if funds or access to funds is a problem or a reason for not seeking help at a healthcare center, at least that part of that cost is borne by being on the NHIS cover.
Well, Doc, before we go into the medication, I would like us to talk about old age. I mean, from what you say, it's not really preventable in old age to have hypertension. How do they deal with this? Or what really causes that in old age?
Well, as we grow older, the blood vessels that carry blood out of the heart or the arteries, they harden, and is an age dependent kind of change in the elasticity of the walls of those vessels, and that then predisposes the person automatically to having an increase in the pressure of those, because the vessels must be a bit more relaxed or less tense. The whole definition of hypertension is because there's an increased tension in the wall of the arteries. So if the arteries get thickened or hardened with age, I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. So the elderly then have to go for regular checks. So once they are hypertensive, every effort to keep that blood pressure in check is initiated, so that at least you can have a healthy old age and not spend your retirement funds on trying to just stay alive, which is no life at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's come to medication. Is there any medicine that can cure hypertension?
Yeah, hypertension is not curable. It's like having a calabash on water. You push the calabash under the water, it stays under the water until you take your hand off. Once you take your hand off, the calabash will float back onto the surface. So we control the hypertension. And there are various medications. When you get to the hospital, there are about 4, 5, 6, 7, or even 8 different classes of medications that can be given, and each works through different pathways to maximize the BP control for the patient. And at the basis of this, or the foundation for all these treatments or management of hypertension, is lifestyle modifications. It forms the foundation for treatment. So if someone comes in and their blood pressure is not too high, like early stage 1 hypertension, we attempt to encourage lifestyle modification first for up to about 3 months, whilst keeping track of their blood pressure, regular BP checks. Then they'll come and present the reports of their BP checks to us. They will look at the trend. And studies have shown that these lifestyle modifications can contribute to a significant 21 millimeters drop in the top value of the blood pressure, which is pretty significant. If the person reduces weight, that can contribute to about 5 to 20% millimeters drop of the BP if the person is overweight. And those that adopt a healthy eating plan that is rich in, WHO recommends a diet that is about almost half a kilo rich in fruits and vegetables a day, and that can contribute up to 14 millimeters drop in the blood pressure. Reducing salt, heavy salt intake, that can contribute almost 10 millimeters drop. Physical activity can contribute almost 10, and then those who are heavy into alcohol, moderation of the consumption, to below risk, to risk-free levels is encouraged to contribute about 5 millimeters drop also. So lifestyle modifications form the basis, and when those modifications fail for low level BPs, then we add medications. But those who come in with BPs that are like stage 2 or stage 3, that is pretty high, whilst initiating them on medications, we still encourage lifestyle modifications because they contribute a huge quota to the BP drop.
Well, Doc, some people, there's a perception that how they call it, other drugs, that is herbal drugs, can be able to reverse this condition if they're taken appropriately?
See, drugs, whether herbal or orthodox or whichever form of drugs they are, we live in an era of evidence-based medical practice. So if there is a drug out there that has been touted to contribute to a BP drop or reversal of whatever process there is, let's put it to the test. Before, during, after, we compare the reports, the results, and we publish them in a good peer-reviewed journal, and then everybody knows. So it's not just going to be an anecdotal claim by someone that this is able to do that, and then everybody runs all the way to the bank with it. No, there should be the evidence. So once the evidence is clear, then we all run with it. So I'm okay with any medication that is proven to reduce the blood pressure through whichever means that is able to do that without harming the person. I'm okay with that. And it should all be evidence-based. So if there's a claim out there that there are medications that can reverse the process, then they should put it to the test and let's publish the results and make some good money from it whilst keeping people alive and healthy.
Well, we'll be opening the phone lines for our viewers to also ask their questions. I know people are itching to know more about this. But Doc, what roles does obesity or being overweight play in hypertension?
Well, when you are obese, you put a lot of strain on the system. Already it means that your body mass is heavy, and that body mass must be carried about, in order to achieve whatever physical activity that you want to achieve. And that is usually difficult for the obese person because they tend to be heavy, they don't tend to move around much, and being physically inactive is already a high risk factor for developing hypertension. Aside of that, obesity is also associated with cholesterol level problems. So when a person is obese, they tend to be more at risk of having abnormal cholesterol levels. And cholesterol damages blood vessels, and a damaged blood vessel will become more resistant to blood flow in it, and that will predispose the person to hypertension. Apart from that, obesity is also associated with development of diabetes. And diabetes is an independent risk factor for developing hypertension. By itself, once you're diabetic, you will develop hypertension if that diabetes is not under control. So obesity is a huge problem. Once it sets in, the person's risk of developing hypertension is very, very high because of these other bad guys that it brings along in its wake.
Well, Doc, I have more questions for you, but let's pick a call from Ashoman Estate. Michael is on the line. Michael, what's your question?
Yes, morning. Thanks for having the opportunity to ask this very important question.
Right.
Yes, so I have realized that I had a family history. I had a family history of BP, so I decided that if that is the case, I have to make modifications to my diet or my lifestyle. So I stopped taking in meat products, sauce products. I exercise a lot. I do not do anything that is contrary to having high BP. Yet my BP is rising. Occasionally I have my BP go to 140. Sometimes it drops. In fact, I don't have diabetes, I don't have cholesterol, none of these are present, and yet I still have BP. So I want to know if there's any other thing that I could do to make or to reduce it. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Michael. I'm sure Doc will answer that question. So you can also call us on 03022-11691 or 03022-11692. So, Doc, Michael's question. He has a family history of hypertension, but also tried to modify his lifestyle to prevent that. However, he's still recording high, blood pressure. I mean, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, first, I want to find out if, I don't know whether he's still on the line, the blood pressures, are they checked at home or in the hospital?
I think so Michael is offline now.
Okay, so if it is checked in the hospital, there is this type of hypertension that we call white coat hypertension. It's a kind of hypertension which happens because a person has come to the hospital, has seen the hospital environment, which can be threatening to certain people. And so in the consulting room, the blood pressures will always spike for such patients. And so when I see those kinds of pressures in a patient who doesn't appear to be relaxed or is anxious in my presence, I don't worry too much about it. What I do is that I don't do anything significant with regard to changing the medications, especially if the BP spike is not that significant. I just send them back home. I let them check their BP in their most comfortable environment, that is the home, unless, of course, you have a toxic atmosphere at home. But most people's most comfortable environment is the home, and they check their BPs themselves at home, and then they bring the results of these series of BP checks. And that is more reliable than the hospital environment, where I can tell you that you have one doctor who is taking care of 1 million patients, and we are not going to the most patient people, no matter how hard we try.
Right.
So
Michael will have to check his BP at home and take it to the hospital. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and then another form is a BP check where the machine is fixed on you and you go about your normal activity, and the machine will just be taking your BP at regular intervals, maybe every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then we put in and analyze the data. And if it fits a pattern that shows that you are hypertensive, then you are. If it is not, then at least we can assure you that you are not.
All right, Doc. I'm sorry but there's some more phone calls coming in, so we take this quickly and then we briefly answer them. Bernard, where are you calling us from and what's your question? Unfortunately, we lost Bernard. Gertrude, where are you calling us from? Yeah, Gertrude, can you speak up, please, and briefly, what's your question to Doc?
My question is, normally my BP, both the diastolic and systolic, is very low. I want to ask Doc what the implications are.
All right, thank you.
Normally, the diastolic is normally around 60 thereabouts, and the systolic doesn't get to the 120. So I want to find out if there is any medical implications for that.
All right, thank you, Gertrude. Doc will answer that. Mohammed from Wale Wale, what's your question?
So I don't know. Many people like me experience such what he has just shown, but it's like we have the fear of taking the drugs. So how may he be able to convince us or educate us to relax ourselves to live on the drugs? Because I've been given the drugs, but I have a negative perception about the drugs. So I just want to hear from him what he has for me to be able to take the drugs.
All right, Mohammed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too. So, Doc, Gertrude is asking, she continuously has low blood pressure. Is that a problem?
Well, it becomes a problem if only it causes the symptoms of lightheadedness or feeling faint. So for me personally, my blood pressures usually hover around 90 for the top one, and then 60 or a little below 60 for the lower one. And I'm okay, I don't feel lightheaded. Those whose pressures fall to a certain low value, and when they get up to the upright position and then they start feeling like falling down, that is when we have issues. We'll say that the blood pressure has a problem. But if you're recording 120 60s and 160s 90 60s like me, and you wake up, go about your normal duties without feeling dizzy or feeling like falling to the ground and fainting, you're okay.
All right.
know, people have gone and had people check their BPs, and then they exclaim that, hey, your BP is too low. And I mean, the important thing is, are you feeling faint or feeling like falling down to the ground? No, you are okay.
Okay. And Mohammed from Wale Wale is asking that he's supposed to take drugs but finding it difficult because he doesn't believe in them. How do you help him?
Well, we show him the evidence of what happens when you don't take them and encourage them. You know, it's difficult taking medication that you've seen that you are most likely going to take it for the rest of your life. You know, and we look at the damage it can do to your eyes, the damage it can do to your brain by causing a stroke, the damage it can do to your heart by causing a heart attack or heart failure, the damage it can do to your kidneys by causing kidney failure, and the damage it does to how do you call it, the other organs that are dependent on the blood pressure. You know, we show you all those effects, and if you're ready to spend tons of your money and have a quality of life that is next to nothing because you didn't want to take your medication, once we show you the evidence and you still want to hesitate in taking it, then you know the risks that you are exposing yourself to.
Right.
Nobody likes medications for life, but if that is what will keep you alive and healthy and productive for the nation, then you have to get rid of any form of perceptions that you have and try the medication. Test your BP as you are taking the medication. Your BP starts going down. There is the evidence.
Yeah. Well, there are more calls coming in. Hafiz is calling us from Tamale. Hafiz, your question
Hello?
to Doc. Yes.
Please, good morning.
Good morning.
I want to ask Doctor, the last time I checked my BP, it was 137 over 77. I don't know whether that was what is the status.
Right. Hafiz, your question has been noted.
Hello?
Yes, thank you very much, Hafiz. Your question has been noted. We also have Amidou from Cherponi. Amidou, what's your question?
Yes, madam, good morning to you and Doc.
Good morning.
In fact, there are certain, we have certain apps on the internet. That one morning, madam, I want to find out something. There are certain apps on the internet that one can download and check your BP. I'll find out from Doc whether he can authenticate this or it's not the best for one to do that.
All right, thank you, Hafiz from Amidou from Cherponi. Are there any other calls on the line, please? Right, if there aren't any more calls now, Doc, what do you have to say to Hafiz and then Amidou? Hafiz says his BP is 137 over 77. Is there a problem with that? And Amidou is asking about whether you can download to check your BP on the internet.
For Hafiz, his blood pressure is okay, so he should just add to that a regular annual medical checkup to make sure that he doesn't have other problems like cholesterol problems, diabetes, by checking his fasting sugar levels, and then those basic lab tests that we do to make sure that we are healthy, you know, just like a New Year's resolution, go do annual checks, and to add to your normal blood pressure, you're good to go.
All right.
Blood pressure check it's based on physical contact with your body, and that contact must be based on sensing the pressure wave that your heart is generating through your arteries. So if you are able to use any device that can measure the blood pressure, the pressure being generated on your body, and then record it onto a device, then that device is good to go. But you cannot just download any app off the Android or Apple store and then store on your phone. When your phone or doesn't have a capability of recording your pressure by coming into contact with your blood vessels that are under the pressure. So yes, some apps are there, they are like concept apps, or they are supposed to be linked to an external device on the person that is actually doing the recording of the BP. So all the app is doing is picking up the data from that device on your body, which is doing the recording. Those ones are cool.
All right.
But in the app, you can't just store on your phone and then say that, oh, I put it on my body and this is the BP. It doesn't work like that.
Right. We have Kwekwe Champon calling us from Kumasi. Kwekwe, what's your question?
Yeah, please, hello.
I can hear you. You have to reduce the volume of your television set so we don't get feedback.
Please, I just want to find out from Doug. I've heard him saying 90-15. Hello?
Please go on with your question.
Can be considered normal, but then now to know, when can we consider blood pressure as being hypertension? Because we understand that once you can be certain sometimes. Please, that is just my question.
All right, thank you very much, Kwekwe Champo. Mohammed from Tamale, what's your question? Mohammed, are you on the line for us? Unfortunately, we lost Mohammed, and he was supposed to be our last caller. Can we take one more call? Right, okay, so I believe we lost Mohammed, and he happens to be our last caller. But Doc, so Kwekwe Champon is asking, when can we consider blood pressure hypertensive?
Hyper or hypo?
Hyper.
The fence is 140/90. So once you hit the fence, you are hypertensive. So if you're, or let me put it, it's 140/90. So if any of your values, the top one is 140 or above 140, you are hypertensive. If any of the lower values is at 90 or above, you are hypertensive. So either or both of the top values and above puts you into hypertension range. So once you are 140/90, which is like the border, you hit the border, you are hypertensive.
Right. And doctor, there's this question I just received. Looks like many people, especially the men, are very interested in this. Does hypertension cause erectile dysfunction?
Well, erectile dysfunction is a secondary effect when the hypertension continues uncontrolled and does damage to the arteries. We have small arteries, we call it microvascular damage. Once you have microvascular damage, those small arteries too are supplying organs that need good and efficient blood supply. And so it makes sense that when you allow your blood pressure to go uncontrolled, then you have erectile dysfunction problems because of blood supply problems to that erectile apparatus. So it is a problem if you allow the hypertension to go uncontrolled. Your erectile dysfunction will then manifest as a complication of uncontrolled hypertension. And then there is also this other one, those who take antihypertensives and they complain about having erectile dysfunction because of the medicines they are taking. Well, what the medication does is to try and reduce the pressure by reducing the tension in the blood vessel. And supply to the penis, blood supply to the penis is what keeps it erect and stiff. So the outflow valve is what keeps the blood in to make it stiff. So the antihypertensive tends to have cause a release, a slight relaxation of that valve. So they experience a weak erection, but there is a solution to that, so that you can still be taking your antihypertensive while still ready to fire away.
Yeah, I want that. So, Doc, I was hoping you would tell the solution, because many people are really interested in this.
Oh yeah, it's a medication we prescribe. So once you have erectile dysfunction, usually when we start a patient on it, the males, we tell them that, look, this drug can make your erection weak, and the extent of weakness is not the same across the board. Some men don't experience it at all, whereas other men experience it quite significant enough for them to stop taking the medication. So when they come back, we review the medications and put them on those that are not likely to do that. But we add the other medication that we prescribe to improve the erection. They fall in the same class as Viagra, and they do great work. So you can still go ahead and have your nice sexual experience without catching a stroke at climax. That would be just too bad for business.
Well, for those who've been asking, I guess you now have your answer. But Doc, how quickly does hypertension progress if not adequately managed?
It depends on the risk factors that are at play and the severity of the pressure. So we call it a continuum, which is it's like a downhill kind of track, where from the gathering of the risk factors that are at play, there is damage to the wall of the vessel, releasing what we call reactive oxygen species or reactive oxygen substances, and causing a lot of stress to the wall. And then that damage, when it continues with dysfunction of the tissues that are supplied by those blood vessels, and then the deformation of cholesterol plaques, or atherosclerosis as we call it, these, when it progresses, then the person develops either a heart attack or a stroke or some form of insufficiency in blood supply to organs that need the blood urgently. And then there is a change in the nature of the walls of especially the heart and the vessels in the heart, the kidneys, the brain, the eyes. If all those are not checked, then there is end organ failure. So it can progress pretty fast, within a short span of 2 years, or within 10 years, or within 20 years, all depending on how severe the pressure is and which other risk factors are at play. And the more risk factors there are, diabetes, cholesterol, a person who is smoking, a person who is eating junk food, who is not exercising, who is obese, then the faster the person will progress along that continuum, as we call it, to end organ damage and finally death. So as to how long it will take from development of hypertension to dying from it, it's all contingent on the risk factors that are at play and how severe each risk factor is.
Well, let me ask you, how does salt intake impact hypertension?
Well, salt, when you take in a lot of salt, you find out that you become even thirstier. The more concentrated any substance you consume is, you become more thirsty. So salt tends to attract water. If you retain salt in your body, then the risk of also retaining water wherever that salt is higher. And we are talking about pressure within the wall of a vessel, that is an artery. So if that blood in that artery is loaded with so much salt, it makes sense that it will attract water into it. And any time water enters into that space, the pressure of the fluid in that space keeps going higher and higher. So the more salt you consume, the more water it will attract. And then the subsequent damage from the increased pressure effect on the walls will just be a secondary effect of that.
So grateful to you, Doc, for your time here on the AM show. We've learned so much, and I believe that those of us viewing and those who view later will take a word or two out of this and protect yourself. We've entered into the new year, and you don't want to be ending up in the hospital because of hypertension. And that's how we wrap up the conversation on managing your blood pressure. And our next conversation will also be on stress. Please, you want to hear more about this, and also we'll be learning more about how many Ghanaians are latching onto the Guinness World Record competition. Welcome back. And before we enter into our stress discussion, our very own Enoch Mensah, known as E.T. Mensah, is being buried today. Before we go there, let's get a hint of his life and education. E.T. Mensah was born on 17th May 1946 and comes from Pram in the Greater Accra region. He schooled at the Snaps College of Accountancy, which he completed in 1968. He also had his RSA 3 in 1970, and he became a fellow of the Institute of Financial Accountants in 1986. He was an accounts officer and worked at the University of Ghana in Legon as an accounting officer. During the time of the PNDC military regime, he was the longtime chief executive of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, AMA, akin to being the mayor of the city of Accra. He joined the National Democratic Congress when it was formed in 1992. As Member of Parliament, E.T. Mensah was a Ghanaian politician and stood for the Ghanaian parliamentary election in 1996 and was elected MP for Ningo Pram constituency, holding the seat for almost a decade. He first went into Parliament after he was elected as the MP of the Second Parliament of the Fourth Republic of Ghana during the 1996 general election. Now, after the NDC lost the 2000 elections, he continued as a Member of Parliament, winning in subsequent elections in 2004, 2008, and 2012, maintaining his seat until 2016. And on 21st November 2015, E.T. Mensah lost the NDC parliamentary primaries to Sam Auntie Joyce, bringing an end to his 20-year stay in Parliament, and lost his chance to stand again in the 2016 elections. Mr. Mensah was married with 7 children. He died in South Africa on 1st October 2023 at the age of 77. We can go live now to the State House, where my colleague Kenneth Jesse is there to give us more.
The immediate of our late departed from Numu Abraham Tete Akutu Natu. The immediate family consisting of the siblings, the children, the grandchildren, and the head of family.
Over to you.
Those who hear him will live. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Praise be manifest men into the hands of the Almighty God, and we come together in grief. Yes, we give praise to God, for in his Son, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who died and rose from the dead and lives forevermore, we have an assurance of life that never ends. Jesus says to us, because I live, you will also live. Amen. We continue the service with the Methodist hymn 878 on page 140 of the brochure. At the very end of the brochure, O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal hope. All his sons away, they fly forgotten as a dream dies at the opening day. The last stanza, please, after which we'll have a prayer. Seated. The one on whom we lean and do not fall. You who had been with us, our fathers, mothers, and have in Christ brought us new life. Give us grace that in the presence of death, we may yet trust in your strength and power, and worship you as Lord of all. In our distress, we may ask, where is our God? But you do not make us to know that your wisdom is infinite, so that what we may not understand is no mystery before you. You who hold the keys of death in your hands, and death cannot destroy those who trust in you. Let your spirit strengthen us, that death and everything else that threatens our peace, and even our faith in your goodness, may be seen as already defeated. Death have been swallowed up in victory. Hallelujah. Amen.
Please heads up. We will continue the service, comfort ourselves with the hymn, Methodist Team 608. Captain of Israel's host and guide, all who seek the land above. Beneath thy shadow we abide, cloud of thy protecting love. Our strength, thy grace, our rule, thy word, our end, the glory of the Lord. On page 140 of the brochure, page 140 of the brochure. Shall we all stand and sing? Israel's host and guide. We take the scripture readings from Psalm 91 to 12 by Enoch, Mensah, and the reading for the gospel is John 14, 1 to 6, and verse 27 by Dr. Michael Mensah.
Our reading is coming from Psalm 91 to 12, and I read, Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. Before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the whole world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You turn people back to dust, saying, return to dust, you mortals. 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, or like a watch in the night. Yet you sweep people away in the sleep of death. They are like the new grass of the morning. In the morning it springs up new, but by the evening it is dry and withered. We are consumed by your anger and terrified by your indignation. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence. All our days pass away under your wrath. We finish our years with a mourn. Our days may come to 70 years or 80 if our strength endures. Yet the best of them are about trouble and sorrow. For they quickly pass and we fly away. If only we knew the power of your anger. Your wrath is as great as the fear that is your due. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. This is the word of God.
A second reading of the gospel will be from John 14, 1 to 6, instead of 16 as reflected in the booklet. Shall we please rise for the reading of the gospel? Jesus, the way to the Father. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me. There is more than enough room in my Father's home. If this were not so, would I have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you? When everything is ready, I will come and get you, so that you will always be with me where I am, and you know the way to where I'm going. No, we don't know, Lord, Thomas said. We have no idea where you're going, so how can we know the way? Jesus told him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me. If you had really known me, you would have known who my Father is. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. 27. I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give you, the peace I give is a gift that the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or be afraid. This is the word of God.
We will continue with the Methodist hymn 74 on page 140. Praise to the holiest in the heights, and in the depth be praised. In all his words, most wonderful, most sure in all his ways. After which, we will have the biography of our brother, Honorable Evangelist Enoch Mensah. Praise to the sit and sing the last two stanzas, and we pray that the former director Ghana Law School, Mrs. Ansa Asare, Mr. Ansa Asare Esquire, will read the biography for us. We pray that all others who are to read the tribute will come in front here and have a seat by us here to save time. The last two stanzas. Poet Mr. Ansan Sari Esquire. The widows, the children, and National Democratic Congress should get ready to read the tributes.
Your Excellency the President, this is the biography of the late Honorable Evangelist Dr. Enoch Mensah, Captain of Israel's host and guide, of all who seek the land above. Beneath thy shadow we abide. The cloud of thy protecting love, our strength, thy grace, our rule, thy word, our end, the glory of the Lord. Methodist Hymn Book, 98, first stanza. The Honorable Evangelist, Dr. Enoch Mensah, also known as E.T. Mensah, as he is popularly known, was born into the royal clan of Clay Abodo Pram Pram on the 17th day of May 1946 in Koforidua in the eastern region of Ghana, where his parents had sojourned for work. His parents were Mr. Emmanuel Mensah, also known as E.T. Mensah Sr., or Nietzsche Goldsmith, a goldsmith of high repute, and Madame Lisbeth Natikwo Nati, a draper of blessed memory, both from Afutuwim and Ajokawim of Clay Abodo clan of Pram Pram in the greater Accra region of the Republic of Ghana. Early years of life and education of E.T. Mensah. The late Honorable E.T. Mensah had his elementary education at Koforidua Methodist Primary School and later continued at Akrabo Methodist Primary and Middle Schools near Suhum in the eastern region, where his parents had relocated and settled. In 1958, his parents moved to Ashama near Tema, where he continued his middle school education at the Akozo Middle School in Tema Community 1 and completed in 1962 with a distinction in the Middle School Living Certificate Examination, then known as Hall. E.T. Mensah left Tema in 1964 to live with his elder brother, the late S.N. Mensah in Mamprobi, Dansoman, Accra, who was then working at Accra City Council, now Accra Metropolitan Authority, AMA, where he attended Snaps College of Accountancy and Secretaryship at Asalam Down in Accra. While at Snaps College of Accountancy, he excelled in his course of study and was adjudged the best student when he sat for the Royal Society of Arts examination and was consequently employed as a tutor in the college. He later established a school for business and management studies at Mamprobi called Institute of Business Education, or IBE, where he was the head. He held a Master of Arts MA certificate in Theological Studies and a Doctor of Ministry PhD certificate from the Vision International University, Ramona, California, where he was the valedictorian at the graduation ceremony. He was a fellow of good standing in the Institute of Financial Accountants, IAA, member of National Association of Public Accountants of the USA, and member of the Institute of Public Accountants, FIBA, Australia. Sporting activities. While at Akozo Middle School, E.T. Mensah played a key role in the school's football team, where his excellence in the game led him to be recruited to play for the now defunct Tema Hurricanes Football Club. He played alongside notable teammates as goalkeeper Peter Shalwa, Ofori Mambo, and Kim Pele of blessed memory. He also played alongside Reverend Osei Kofi and Paco Alote, Chubi Cheka. Tema Hurricanes, as the name implied, was a terror to teams like Asante Kotoko, Accra Hearts Suffolk, during their stay in the Ghana Football League. E.T. Mensah of blessed memory was later recruited to play for Auroras and Hearts Suffolk, where he played alongside the likes of Sam Amaltefio, Ado Odamite, Tommy Vanderboy, Mohamed Polo, Anas Seidu, among others, between 1967 and 1976. During the early days of the late Tommy Thompson as chairman of Accra House of Oak, E.T. became a member of the Welfare Committee during their exploits in the Africa Club competitions. E.T.'s football skills during his school days caught the eyes of the management of Lever Brothers, Ghana Limited, now Unilever Ghana PLC, to employ him to play for the company's team that participated in the Tema Interdepartmental Football League in the early 1960s. He traveled with the team to play matches in Nigeria and other neighboring countries. Whilst working as political life and activism, whilst working at the University of Ghana, Legon, where he was nicknamed Washington, E.T. Mensah continued with his activism, where he joined a left-wing political study group comprising notable political stalwarts such as the late Professor Kwesi Botwe, Comrades Chachu Chikata, Fui Chikata, Professor Kwame Kakari, Professor Techua Menu, Akoto Ampao Sheshe, and others. This group later culminated into the now defunct New Democratic Movement, or NDM. The group set up study cells across the country to educate working people on the tenets and principles of the class struggle for emancipation. The late E.T. and two other colleagues, namely Professor Kwesi Botwe and the late Ibrahim Dodu, a senior civil servant, signed the first policy document of the group New Democratic Movement, or NDM. This group worked assiduously to raise political consciousness of mainly workers across the country. E.T. was the sports minister who turned sports around in Ghana. Among his many achievements, he introduced professional football, and Premier League clubs were directed to register as corporate entities. He also introduced sports policy, player transfer, and sponsorship programs. He was also instrumental in the introduction of the National Youth policy, which was rolled out in 1999. Our late Honorable E.T. Mensah was a founding member, national youth organizer, and vice chairman of the National Democratic Congress, NDC for short, for many years. He will be remembered as a member of parliament for Ningo Pram Pram constituency for unprecedented 5 consecutive years. Also be remembered as the Minister for Employment and Social Welfare, the Minister of Water Resources, Works and Housing. During those times, he also acted as Minister of Education and Agriculture. The late E.T. Mensah served as a member of government task force to oversee the implementation of the President's priority projects at the office of the President. E.T. Mensah and Pram Pram. E.T. Mensah's connection with Pram Pram stemmed right from his birth, which made him a native of Pram Pram. Particularly, he was a royal of the Clay Abodo clan of Pram Pram from Ajoka and Afutuwe. Royal because his grandfather was Ajoka the First, Mankralo of Pram Pram. As such, E.T. worked hard to help raise the status of Pram Pram, which used to be a trading route to the coast prior to Ghana's independence in 1957. Whilst a mayor of Accra, E.T. worked hard to persuade the central government to extend electricity to Pram Pram and Ningo communities in 1987. He also ensured the reconstruction of the road from Dowinyan to Pram Pram Junction to the main town, which was in a deplorable state, and ensured that it was tarred. It is regrettable that it has returned to its deplorable state, and we appeal to His Excellency the President to do something about it for us. E.T. also ensured that the bridge on the Jange Lagoon was constructed, thereby reducing the travel time to Old Ningo from 32 kilometers to 16 kilometers. The late E.C. was also instrumental in the creation of the Ningo Pram Pram District Assembly. E.T. Mensah as a member of Council of State. E.T. was unanimously elected as a member of the Council of State with a 100% majority vote to represent the Greater Accra region in 2021, where he remained an active sitting member until his untimely death in early October this year. E.T.'s position in governance and party. The late E.T. worked in various capacities in government and party. For instance, he was the PNDC Metropolitan Secretary from May 1982 to June 1992, making him the longest-serving mayor of Accra. Deputy PNDC Secretary for Youth and Sports from 1982 to 1993. Minister for Youth and Sports from 1993 to January 2001. National Youth Organizer of the National Democratic Party or NDC, Vice Chairman of NDC, and Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram from 7th January 1997 to 7th January 2017. Was also the Majority Chief Whip from 7th January 2009 to 2nd February 2010. Last but not the least, he was first deputy minority whip from 2005 to 2008. Family life, personal hobbies and interests. The Honorable E.T. Mensah was a family man, married to a sweet wife with 7 children surviving him. He was a loving husband and a good father who ensured that members of his immediate family were brought up as the scripture has laid down. He was also an avid reader, and for those who came into close contact with him, E.T. was not only an avid reader, but also he loved works of history, politics, and current affairs. He was well read in philosophy, theology, and English literature. He loved to sing hymns and loved reading the Holy Bible. One of his landmark achievements was his compilation of Lest We Forget, a pamphlet detailing the achievements of the PNDC, which was pivotal in NDC's subsequent organizational programs and victories, and the publishing of the book PNDC/NDC Setting the Records Straight, Volume 1, with a foreword by the late H.E. Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings before his untimely demise. E.T. was also a synod member of the Tema Diocese of the Methodist Church and a member of Connectional Advisory Council on Youth of the Methodist Church, Ghana. He was a commissioned evangelist and a conference member of the Methodist Church, Ghana. The late Honorable Dr. Evangelist Enoch Mensah is survived by his beautiful wife, Lorinda, his 7 children, namely Apostle Benjamin Tete Mensah Ben, E.T. Mensah Jr., Dr. Michael Tete Mensah, Reverend Mrs. Naomi Nadu Mensah Entry, Jerry Tai Mensah, Benis Nadu Fehi Mensah, and the 11-year-old Solomon Ni Nate Mensah was also survived by 27 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, and family relations to mourn him. Indeed, the great oak tree of Afutuwem, Ajukawem, and the entire Clay Abodo clan of Pram has fallen. For those of us who have been left to mourn him, we are reminded of his favorite prayer, the Serenity Prayer, which he often quoted, and I quote, with your permission, Mr. President, God, grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference, unquote. Death is an inevitable end, a fact which all mortals must come to terms with. We therefore take consolation in the fact that Honorable E.T., Uncle E.T., you have led a fruitful and impactful life. What is led for you is a well-deserved rest in the bosom of our Lord Jesus Christ. May Mother Earth lie gently on your mortal remains till we meet again at the dawn of the resurrection. Uncle E.T., Ichi Mensah. Oh. Yahweh. Amen.
Now we'll take 3 tributes first. The widow, Miss Nyamiche Usu, will read that, followed by the children to be read by Apostle Benjamin Mensah, and then the National Democratic Congress to be read by the General Secretary, Honorable Fifi Kweti.
Tributes by Mrs. Lorinda Presidency Mensah, wife.
And that was the funeral of E.T. Mensah underway at the State House, forecourt of the State House. May his soul rest in peace. We'll be right back. And finally, the day is here. Joy FM 90s Jam is happening tonight from 8 p.m. till you drop, or to the wee hours of tomorrow morning. And today, we are at City Galleria. We're going to give you a tour of the place and give you a feel of how the event is going to go down tonight. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba is there currently. Maxwell, can you hear me? What's happening at City Galleria as we speak?
Well, Mami, we're getting ready for the event, the biggest New Year party. We're getting ready here at the rooftop of the City Galleria Mall. So what you can see right now is Accra's beautiful skyline. And this is the view you get when standing here at the rooftop of the City Galleria Mall. A lot of landmarks, to see. Just in a short some minutes ago, you saw the Villaggio building. When you're here, you can see the entire skyline, actually the beautiful skyline, of the capital, Accra. It's very breezy here, and so you can imagine what it's going to be like when you have some 90s music, playing in the background, and you have DJ Black, and you have Andy Dusty, you have Nia Itego, and the rest of the crew, on the stage, playing you all the best 90s, music that you could ever, think of. It is a very big space. Very, very big. I'm told that it can accommodate about 1,000 people. So yes, you don't have to worry about getting access to this place. The car park is also very, very spacious to accommodate all your vehicles, all your cars here. What you can see right now is a team from the Multimedia Group Limited, our colleagues getting ready. The stage is not really yet set, but you can see that is the stage, and then they getting the lights and everything in place. I have with me here Kelvin Phillips Bands. He's the manager for City Galleria. He's going to tell us more about the rooftop, about this place. This is more or less like the biggest rooftop I've seen here in the capital, Accra.
Definitely. You can see for yourself. I mean, take a look at the view.
Yeah.
We have the signature right behind us. Actually, we are located right behind Accra Mall.
Yeah.
Yes, so when you're coming from, for instance, La Paz towards the mall, just get to the roundabout, and then when you are turning right in front of the mall, don't get to the motorway. Don't get to the motorway. It's a bit tricky. But
very tricky, and I think we have to mention that.
Yeah, don't get to the motorway. There is a curve right in front.
That is for those coming from La Paz, Achimota, and its environs.
Exactly.
Medina too?
Medina as well. So when they come, they go around, it's coming past right in front of the mall.
And that's from City Galleria, our colleague Maxwell Agbagba there talking to the manager, describing to us how beautiful and spacious the venue is for tonight. So do make a date with us, and that's how we wrap up events here in the Joy News studio. We came to you from the Joy News studio on the AM show. We've been speaking to Joyce Lanyon on the news review. We've also been speaking to Wing Commander Tobo, who's been telling us about or educating us on blood pressure. And finally, we took excerpts of E.T. Mensah's funeral. And that's how we wrap up for today's edition of the AM show. Have a wonderful weekend. News Desk is up next.